The secret of the billionaires who never appear on the rich lists. Long form. Top 10. Money and finance facts. The richest people in the world are not on the Forbes list. That's not a theory. That's just how it works. The people you see on those rankings, they want to be seen. But the ones with the real money, they've been hiding for decades, and most of them you've never heard of. Today, I'm going to show you 10 secrets these people use to stay invisible while getting richer every single year. Think about it for a second. Every year, Forbes releases its list of the richest people on the planet. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bernard Arnault. These names are everywhere. But here's the thing. To be on that list, your wealth has to be visible. It has to be traceable. It has to be connected to stocks, public companies, things that can be measured. What about the wealth that can't be measured? There are families, funds, and individuals sitting on fortunes so large and so well hidden that no journalist, no government, and no database has ever been able to fully track them. And the way they do it isn't magic. It's a very specific set of habits, structures, and mindsets that almost nobody talks about. Here are the 10 secrets of the billionaires who never show up on the rich lists. Number 10. They don't own things. They control them. This is the first big shift in how invisible billionaires think. Most people think wealth means owning stuff. A big house, a fancy car, a private jet. And sure, some rich people do own those things. But the truly wealthy don't think like that. They set up structures, holding companies, trusts, foundations, where technically they don't own anything. The company owns it. The trust owns it. But they control everything. Why does this matter? Because what you own can be taken from you. Lawsuits, divorce, taxes, creditors, all of these go after what's in your name. But if nothing is in your name, none of that touches you. There are families in Europe and South America who have been doing this for over 100 years. The wealth passes from generation to generation, always inside a structure, never in someone's personal name. To the outside world, these people look like they have nothing, but they control everything. Number 9, they avoid public companies. Here's something nobody tells you about public companies. When you take a company public, when you list it on the stock market, you have to report everything. Your revenues, your profits, your losses, your strategy, your debts. It all becomes public information. The invisible billionaires don't want that. They run private companies, businesses that have no obligation to tell anyone anything. Some of the biggest companies in the world are privately owned. Koch Industries in the US is worth hundreds of billions of dollars and has never been listed on any stock exchange. Cargill, one of the largest food companies on the planet, is still family-owned and private. These companies generate more money than most publicly traded corporations. But because they don't have to report anything, most people have no idea how big they really are. When your business is private, your wealth is private. It's that simple. Number 8, they use foundations as wealth vaults. You've probably heard of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or the Rockefeller Foundation. And yes, these foundations do a lot of good work. But there's also a financial reason why ultra-wealthy people love foundations. Money that goes into a foundation is not taxed the same way regular income is. In many countries, donations to a foundation can be deducted from taxable income. And once the money is inside the foundation, it can be invested, grown, and used in ways that benefit the family, paying for research, funding projects, covering expenses that would otherwise come out of personal wealth. The Rockefeller family is a perfect example. John D. Rockefeller was once the richest man in human history. After he died, much of his wealth moved into foundations and trusts. The Rockefeller family today is still incredibly wealthy, but because the money lives inside institutions rather than personal accounts, it barely shows up anywhere public. Foundations are legal, they're smart, and they're one of the most powerful tools the ultra-rich use to keep their money growing without anyone watching. Number 7. They live in multiple countries at once. Most people live in one country, pay taxes in one country, and follow the rules of one country. Invisible billionaires don't think that way. They structure their lives across multiple countries intentionally. They might have legal residency in one place, their business registered in another, their investments in a third, and their family home in a fourth. This isn't random. Every piece of this puzzle is chosen for a reason. Lower taxes, stronger legal protections, more privacy, better access to certain markets. There are small countries like the Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Monaco, that exist almost entirely to serve this kind of wealth. They offer low or zero taxes, strong banking secrecy laws, and no questions asked. The people who use these places aren't criminals. They're just playing by a completely different set of rules than the rest of us. When your wealth is spread across multiple jurisdictions, no single government can see the full picture. And that's exactly the point. Number 6, they never flash their wealth. This one might sound obvious, but it goes deeper than you think. The wealthiest people on earth, the ones who have been rich for generations, are almost allergic to showing off. Not because they're humble, but because they understand something most people don't. Visibility is a risk. When people know you're rich, you become a target. For taxes, for lawsuits, for kidnapping, for fraud, for people who want a piece of what you have. Old money families teach their children from a very young age to live quietly, dress normally, drive normal cars, and never talk about money in public. There's a concept in Europe called stealth wealth. It's about looking completely ordinary on the outside while holding enormous power behind the scenes. The person sitting next to you on a regular flight, wearing no brand clothes, carrying a basic bag. They might be worth more than most celebrities you follow online. The loud display of wealth is actually a sign of new money. People who just got rich feel the need to prove it. People who have been rich for a long time feel no need to prove anything to anyone. Number 5, they control information here. It's something that almost never gets talked about. Wealthy families and individuals invest heavily in controlling the story around them. They employ PR firms not to promote themselves, but to make sure their names don't appear anywhere at all. They have legal teams that monitor the internet and send letters to journalists, bloggers, and researchers who get too close. Some of them are so effective at this that even their names have been scrubbed from most public records. You can't Google them. You can't find photos. You can't find addresses, business names, or any connection to their real wealth. This level of privacy isn't cheap. It takes resources, planning, and constant maintenance. But for people with generational wealth, it's considered as essential as food. Protecting information is protecting the fortune. Number 4, they invest in things that don't show up on paper stocks, and real estate are visible. When you buy a house or a share of a company, that transaction usually gets recorded somewhere. But there are categories of investment that are much harder to track. Art, wine, rare watches, farmland, water rights, forest land, ancient artifacts, private equity stakes, loans made directly to other wealthy individuals or governments. These types of assets don't trade on exchanges. There's no daily price update. There's no public record of who owns what, and their value can grow enormously over time without anyone knowing. A painting bought in 1970 for $100,000 might be worth $50 million today. That gain never showed up anywhere public. No tax event, no news story, no record. It just grew quietly inside a private vault. The ultra-wealthy treat these kinds of assets as a combination of wealth preservation, privacy, and long-term appreciation. They're not just collecting things. They're hiding money in plain sight. Number 3, they use debt as a tool, not a problem. This one breaks people's brains when they first hear it. In the regular world, debt is something you want to avoid. But the ultra-wealthy use debt as a way to access money without ever triggering a taxable event. Here's how it works. If you have assets worth $1 billion and you sell them, you owe capital gains tax. That could be hundreds of millions of dollars gone to the government overnight. But if instead of selling, you borrow against those assets, using them as collateral for a loan, you get the cash you need, and you pay zero tax. Because a loan is not income. You then use the loan to fund your lifestyle, your business, or your next investment. And you repay the loan slowly, sometimes using dividends or other income that's taxed at a much lower rate. This strategy is called buy, borrow, die, and it's completely legal. The die part refers to the fact that when the asset is eventually passed down to heirs, the tax basis resets, often eliminating the capital gains entirely. The richest people on earth live off debt, not income. And it's one of the biggest financial secrets hiding in plain sight. Number 2, they think in generations, not years. So most people plan financially for the next 5 to 10 years at most. Maybe they're saving for a house, a car, retirement. The time horizon is short. Invisible billionaires think in centuries. Families like the Rothschilds, the Agnelis, the Betancourts. These are people whose wealth strategies were designed not for their own lifetimes, but for the next 3 or 4 generations. Every investment, every trust, every legal structure is built to last 100 years, not 10. This changes everything about how they make decisions. They don't chase trends. They don't panic when markets drop. They're not trying to win this year. They're trying to make sure their great-great-grandchildren are still wealthy in 2150. That kind of patience is almost impossible for most people to understand. But it's one of the main reasons old money stays old money, while everyone else is reacting to short-term noise. These families are playing a completely different game on a completely different time scale. Number 1, they stay out of the story. Entirely Number 1 secret of the world's invisible billionaires is the simplest one. They never become the story. The people on Forbes lists have brands. They have public images. They speak at conferences, give interviews, post on social media. Their names are attached to their companies. Their faces are on magazine covers. They are the story. The truly invisible wealthy have made themselves irrelevant to any story. Their names don't come up. Their faces aren't recognized. Their companies operate through layers of representatives and intermediaries. No journalist has a reason to write about them because there's nothing visible to write about. This invisibility is intentional and carefully maintained. The moment you become a public figure, you lose control. Governments start paying attention. Journalists start digging. Competitors start studying you. Enemies start forming, but if nobody knows your name, nobody is looking. And if nobody is looking, you can do whatever you want with your money, your business, and your future. The richest people in the world aren't famous. They're invisible, and they like it that way. So there it is. 10 secrets of the billionaires who never appear on any list. They don't own, they control. They stay private. They use foundations, multiple countries, and debt as tools. They invest in things that don't show up on paper. They think in generations. And above everything else, they stay completely out of the public eye. The interesting thing about all of this is that none of it is illegal. Every single strategy here is used openly by the world's wealthiest families, designed and approved by the best lawyers and accountants money can buy. The rules aren't hidden. Most people just never learn them because they were never meant for most people. Now you know a little bit more about how that world actually works.